welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Sawyer on Water podcast. This is our podcast where we talk about mostly everything rivers, lakes, and oceans powered with human craft. And today we are in our guide series once again, and we're going to be talking to Ben Banson about whitewater rafting and outfitting and drift boat fishing. And we're out here on the Rogue River on a nice, beautiful morning, and I'm gonna turn it over here just briefly to Ben. Ben, thanks for joining me out here. Give me just a little intro of yourself, kind of how you got started, and where you're at these days.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Ben Banson. My wife Jade and I, we own Rogue Rafting Company and Fish and Oregon Guide Service. Guide year round, mostly here on the Rogue. We fish a few other rivers as well. Started guiding in 2003 here on the Rogue River while I was going to school at Southern Oregon University there in Ashland. Turned it into started as a summer job and turned it into a year-round full-time career. I've been doing it for a little while and basically get to spend every day on the water or close to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So like really, back in the early 2000s, we were both probably guiding in this area.
Yep.
And I can't remember exactly I think one of the first times I ran into you was actually just on the river when you were fishing.
Yeah. Because
I remember your Fish Oregon boat, you used to have it all, had the fishoregon.com on it, and I was like, hey, I know that guy. But yeah, so like that's kind of where it began. And you were whitewater guiding and then also fishing on your own, correct?
Right. So when I first started, it was kind of funny how I got started rafting. So I was going to school at SOU. I think I was a sophomore that year, and I'd done a couple different jobs while going to school, doing work.
As we all do.
Oh yeah, do what you gotta do,
for sure.
But I remember I was working up at Mount Ashland and the ski school there, working for James Thompson, and for some reason he would show up late to like the season, and I was like, just meeting him, figuring out what he's up to, and he's like, I fish in the fall, so that's why I don't start till a little bit later. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
so wait a second, you raft in the summer, fish in the fall, ski in the winter. Like that sounds like the ideal scenario right there, and like that's where it first kind of planted the seed. Like, okay, this could be a really fun way to spend the year.
Nice.
But yeah, that was 2003, and when I first started, I was just raft guiding. My buddy Willie Joe Smith, he's the one that gave me the first opportunity. I got on a spring trip on the Cal Salmon, and I think it was a 4-dayer. I think I swam all 4 days. And
Of course.
I got home from that trip and I was like, this is what I want to do. And that was Rogue Klamath River Adventures. So Wild Wayne Zallen. He gave me the first opportunity. I didn't have any guiding experience, done a fair amount of boating.
Right.
But he gave me the opportunity to do some training. Actually helped out with his rental shop, was one of the first things. We had the Tahiti Hut rentals right here in Gold Hill. Right there at that
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, so I've been in that same spot, since right there by the bridge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, spent a bunch of time doing that, and then eventually started working with Don Kirkendall there at Arrowhead.
Gotcha. Absolutely. Yep. I remember working with Don quite a bit. We used to kind of resource out to each other with Don has kind of had his start of his small operation, and he would have big trips, and he would reach out to us or to Wayne, or and try and gather up more guides. And then same kind of thing, if we needed help, he would definitely, he preferred to not just be hired on as just a guide, but if you could hire him as a guide and a boat and maybe another boat, maybe a van as well, kind of fatten up the package a little bit, then he was more than happy to be part of that.
Dancing Don.
Dancing Don, right? May he rest in peace.
Right.
You know, definitely, you know, a lot of old timers that, you know, it's one of those things that, one of the reasons that just kind of got us interested in doing this is that, like, I've literally been in this industry for almost 35 years now, you know, and, you know, I don't know if there's many folks that started the way I did, but like Ryan, who guides for you, he basically kind of came through that outdoor program model. Right. And back when we were starting things in the outdoor program, it was kind of like the commercial outfitters didn't really know what to think about us, because they were like, we don't really know what your training is or anything, but we know that you're out there all the time and you're obviously training yourself.
Right.
And so, yeah, a lot of those outfitters would kind of take us in and start kind of grooming us up to get into their program. And ironically enough, small world that it is, I first initially started commercial guiding with Bill Smith Jr., Willie Joe's kid, who formed Eagle Sun, which I believe that was formed out of a family feud of the two. But, you know, of course, very, very much in color with the outfitting industry as a whole, for sure. So take me into those first few years where you started working for Rogue Klamath, and how that kind of evolved into kind of planting the seed where you figured that maybe this is something you want to do more. So from the whitewater and Rogue Klamath, did you then go into the fishing guiding?
Exactly, yeah. So I was, same kind of thing you're talking about. You know, you farm out to other outfits, kind of bounce around, help out where needed. And that's how I got to know Don. And basically he was explaining it to me that it doesn't have to be, you know, 3 months out of the year. Right. You know, you can do this all year. And I was like, tell me how to do it. So I grew up on a dairy farm, so floating down the river.
Let's go with a little easy forward.
Skiing, all that kind of stuff is way more fun. So as soon as he said this could be a year-round opportunity, you know, still getting some skiing in, but working fish trips in the winter steelhead and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Getting a full fall season in right after a summer season, I was like, that sounds like a no-brainer to me. And it seemed like both, you know, you got to have guys you're working with that don't mind that, you know, you're bouncing around a little bit trying to stay busy, because that is
right. It's kind of a reoccurring piece that we've come back to time and time again. Is it is kind of a gypsy lifestyle,
right?
Where, you know, you have to embrace the fact that you get to travel.
Right.
You know, it is kind of a key to travel. I think for a while there, Don was not only was he was doing the rafting and the fishing, but then he was doing kayak tours in Hawaii.
Maui, yep.
And I actually, a good friend of mine left the area on a low snow year to go work for Don in Hawaii and never came back. And so, you know, he was a buddy of mine that I guided with for a while, and he was almost kind of like my brother from another mother kind of friend of ours. And it was just a low snow season, and Don and Ann got their talking into old Scotty, and away he went. He just called me up one day, says, I'm selling all my ski gear, I'm buying a plane ticket to Hawaii, and I don't know if I'm going to be back.
Can't blame him.
You know, and it was like one of those things. It's kind of like how a lot of guides look at, you know, expanding that season. How do you get your more, kind of get some of the seasonality out of it?
Right.
And so I think with the fishing, definitely there is winter fishing, which is great, and that provides a lot of opportunity to be able to kind of expand your line. And then some folks do travel, like, you know, they'll travel into more of an equatorial state where they can go into the endless summer kind of thing. But you are actually kind of taking that to a whole nother level. All right, so a lot of folks do kind of pursue that, you know, getting into a different part of the equator and getting into that year-round summer, and you know, chasing the kayak tours or the whitewater in the year-round summer. Let's go with the easy forward. And Don definitely kind of had the whole the whole kayak tour piece was that kind of really tied in nicely to what he was doing, and then he could just kind of decide when he was coming back to start into the spring whitewater stuff or the spring, salmon fishing or something like that. But you've definitely kind of taken this to another level where now that you've established yourself and you have this rafting company, you have a fishing company, and your wife Jade works with you. And so together you literally are this family business, and you are actually guiding year round. So talk a little bit about that. I mean, I know that the summertime, you've got half days and 1 days, and it's really busy with just tourist traffic that comes through. And then transition me from the summer into the fall and talk a little bit about the fall experience, and then transition me into the winter.
Yeah. So, like when I first started guiding, 2003, you're looking at, you do a half-day trip and you get like 40 bucks, 45 bucks. Right? So that's not something that you can do year-round, even if you do 2 of those a day. But I feel like that's one of the things that's changed, or one of the things that we've focused on, is trying to have like professional guides that can make money doing it, and you work all year, or close to all year. I mean, have some free time to go skiing or something like that. But if you're able to do both the rafting and the fishing, which not everybody is, and it's a lot of work, and there's some initial investment for sure. I think that's one of the things that's hard to explain to people is you got to spend some money to make some money, especially on the fishing side. Drift boats aren't cheap, rods aren't cheap, all that kind of stuff. So your initial investment is up there for sure. And you have to be a licensed guide to be a fishing guide. You can't work as an employee like you can as a whitewater rafting guide. But we've been able to figure out, since I did that same path, starting as a rafting guide, looking for full-time work, and figured out how to do both, been able to share that with quite a few different guides. And I mean, that's what they ended up doing with their lives, as far as becoming full-time professional river guides, including both rafting and fishing. I know there's a lot of debate. A lot of people say you can't be a professional raft guide your whole life. But if you combine that with fishing, you might be able to pull it off. For sure.
Right. And actually, and you have to get creative and kind of think outside the box. And, now with you, the way you're operating is that your wife, Jade, she handles all the office duties and
fair amount. We share a lot of
do
office
a lot of
duties.
That. Gotcha.
Yeah. There's times, obviously, when I'm on the river, she's handling a lot as far as fielding phone calls. That little critter.
Little otter.
Yeah, phone calls, emails, scheduling guides, all that kind of stuff. So it definitely has an effect if I go, especially on a multi-day trip.
Gotcha.
That stacks up the work for her significantly. We got shopping to do, both for day trips and downriver trips. And yeah, just making sure everything's running smoothly while taking care of our two boys.
Yeah, 2 boys. That's a whole nother piece, is raising a family while you're doing that as well.
Right.
Do you do so you run all your food prep and everything out of the home office as well?
Exactly. Yep. We've got it set up pretty nice now. Basically commercial kitchen style. Got all the necessary refrigeration is the main thing.
Right.
But yeah, everything's ran out of our house. Our day trips, we do use a local deli that does all of our deli lunches for our day trips. But all of our downriver stuff, Jade's prepping and packing for. So.
Let's go a little forward. So, tell the folks a little bit about the fall fishing season and how that kind of came about. I know you were guiding down there. I think we may have actually run into each other on a few downriver trips because there's a few places where the lodges overlap with different folks. Right. And I think I might have run into you during that time. But you were guiding, and then you found an opportunity to. How did you end up kind of moving into being the full-time outfitter in the Lower Road Canyon for that? Did you did you end up purchasing a company, or how did that work?
Yeah. So when I first started, I was working for Arrowhead River Adventures, and while doing that same kind of thing, I'd fill in a few trips for some other outfits here and there to keep a full season, but primarily worked full-time for Arrowhead and with Don. And he passed away in 2009, and that changed the operation there significantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I ended up kind of branching out a little bit more, spent some time working with Noah's, a little bit with Rogue Wilderness, a little bit with my buddy Dan Stumpf at Northwest Drifters. And then it wasn't until later, like 2014, I was on a winter steelheading trip with Dan Stumpf, and I talked to him a little bit about possibly purchasing another outfit. And he got a big smile and was like, "Oh, you want to buy a downriver outfit, huh?" And I was like, "I was thinking about it, what do you think?" And he's like, "Well, let's make a deal." And he was very interested in retiring at the time. He'd done it for about 35 years.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's the thing, is that it gets to a point where those canyon guys are looking for an exit strategy.
Right.
And so you were there in kind of that opportune moment. And so you're able to cut a deal with Dan Stumpf. I know Dan as well, and may he rest in peace. He also kind of had some health issues, and he was probably really happy to get out of the outfitting before he went into the major health issues. Because,
right.
But so then you knew the operation, and you were able to find an opportune moment, and that's a very crucial piece to your whole story, which is very key. It doesn't always come about that way, right? And so like that was ideal that you were able to gain that piece to your whole operation.
Oh, for sure.
And then now you have that where you've got the whitewater rafting and the drift boat fishing. You've all of a sudden kind of boosted your whole presence, right?
Yeah.
And probably boosted a lot of your overhead as well, where it became a little bit bigger operation. It was no longer just, you go on the river and Jade takes care of what else.
Right, yeah.
Gotcha.
Added a little more to the plate for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. And tell folks just a little bit about, obviously you know the Lower Rogue fall fishing situation pretty well, but a lot of folks don't know what that is. So kind of just give folks kind of a brief capsulation of what that actually entails, because it's really a unique trip where you get to actually go down this beautiful river in a drift boat and stay in wilderness lodges. Right. Let's go with the forward.
Yeah, so it's an amazing trip. I mean, fall is one of my favorite times of year, especially on the Rogue River. The September, October, even in November is some of the best fishing you're going to get all year long on the river. And there's a few reasons. You got a fall run of Chinook salmon, you got a summer run of steelhead, and that's when most of them, the highest numbers of them, are going to be in the river. You got some low flows, so some nice calm pools, but some really exciting whitewater as well. And we're running those trips out of aluminum drift boats, so super fun boating.
Yeah, I mean it's a very decadent way to go down the river, where you literally two people and a guide. That ratio, you don't get that all the time, for a wilderness trip. But it's two guests and a guide, and you're kind of in your own private little sports car,
right,
going down the river. And it's pretty crazy where, it's definitely sold as kind of as an expedition type trip.
Right.
There's a lot of history and a lot of beautiful scenery, and there's going to be some fishing along the way.
Right.
And but a lot of times, folks don't really even realize the whitewater entity that they're really getting into. And I did that for a brief bit of time, and I remember how it was kind of interesting once you realize that the people sitting in the front of the boat have no idea what is going on in the middle of that boat. And a good buddy of mine once told me that how you're going through Mule Creek Canyon, and your guest turns around and says, "Can I get a drink?" And you're like, "Yeah, not at the moment. I'm a little busy." But yeah, very, very decadent way to just go down the river and to see the Rogue Canyon, and it really is something that even if someone is not an avid angler, they'll still have a great time.
Oh yeah.
They'll probably catch more fish than the avid angler in the
Exactly.
boat because of the first person's good luck charm. But
Right.
but it is a trip for everybody. It is a trip for families. I remember there was a lot of corporate trips at the time that I was doing it, and then that kind of bubbles bursted, and that kind of dried out, and so then a lot of companies had to kind of reshape themselves.
Right.
And so let's talk a little bit about that. So you've basically had this outfitting business. You had to operate through COVID and kind of these ups and downs. So talk to me just a little bit about some of the challenges that you've found that you've had to deal with.
Right.
I know there's many, but
Yeah.
just the easy ones that we could talk about.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, COVID's obviously a big one. I think wildfires is probably our most common one now. And I feel like we've just learned to accept that we have zero control over our seasonal outcome. And you can compare year to year, but really it doesn't mean anything just because there's so many variables. It is, we were just talking earlier about, it's pretty nice. We got these blue skies, and we're not going to have it all season.
Right, exactly. It's like we really have no idea. I mean, this is a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, nice summer morning, and tomorrow it could be all smoked in.
Yep.
And so you're trying to encourage people to come out and do activity with you and engage on the river, and they're kind of like going, and they're calling up and like, can you guarantee the weather? It's like, nope.
Right.
It's like, I guarantee there'll be a boat there and the river will be there and we'll have a good time, but can't really tell you what the skies are going to do.
Right.
Absolutely. And kind of probably similar to what you're talking about in the manufacturing bit is that, the pivot deck became a real big thing. It's like, whatever the bottleneck is, coming down, it's like, okay, this project's going to go bup, and then, we're going to hit a bottleneck here, we're going to pivot over to here, and then we're going to go down this way, and it was just kind of one of those things. So I think a lot of what I've found in manufacturing, and this kind of rings true to what you're saying, is that COVID has almost kind of branded in a sense of real resiliency to companies, because like you had to figure out how to make that happen, how to work through that, and with the fires, like you said, we have absolutely no control over that. And we lived through that in the Talent Phoenix area where fires just kind of raged through, and so it is kind of one of those things about living in the West and living in river communities, which are typically mountainous communities. And that's where a lot of forest fires happen. And now there's been a bit of a shift, which is kind of nice, is that they are very active at putting fires out now. Like the whole idea of the let it burn piece is no longer.
Yeah.
It's like, get on it right away, stomp it down, and try and control that thing.
Right.
And I think that, unfortunately, it was a lot of these very, very urbanized firestorms that are coming through, and burning 2,500 homes, like they're like, wait a minute, this is a little too much loss of property for us to bear with here. So that's definitely a big deal. What else do you, so you obviously, with the whitewater, you do a few different programs. Talk a little bit about what you've done with other partners in the community. Primarily, I'm thinking about the zip, sip, and dip kind of piece. Talk about that a little bit.
So it's zip, dip, and sip. The sip's at the end, Zach. Yeah. But that's really cool. So our friends Lindsay and Jason, they started up Rogue Valley Zipline Adventures the same year, 2011, same year that Jade and I started Rogue Rafting Company. And we just happened to meet at the big Gold Dust Days celebration in Gold Hill that year, and got to talking and became really good friends with them. And it was pretty early on in our friendship that we're like, we should definitely do a collaboration, like work together on a trip,
Right.
Make for an incredible trip. And we're still not sure who came up with the zip idea, but it's been awesome. I've never done the whole sequence in a day. A bunch of our guides have. We usually try to do that once a year where all the guides can do
Right,
dip,
right.
sip day. But it's just awesome day. I mean, you're meeting up at 8:30 at Del Rio, 8:30 in the morning. You're going zip lining, having lunch over at Laurel Hills Golf Course, and then we pick folks up around 1 o'clock just after lunch, get them geared up for some whitewater, do a Nugget Powerhouse or Nugget Potomac Falls run with them. So they're getting some fun Class 4 rapids, and then about 4:30 they end up down at Del Rio for some wine tasting. Get to hang out in the backyard there at Del Rio. Sometimes there's some live music.
Nice.
But just
nice.
An awesome day.
And that's a great little river community package, right? So that's all pretty much a Gold Hill based operation, which is awesome, you know, and you kind of like collaborating with multiple partners just makes it easier for everybody to kind of get some promotion out of it.
Yep.
and make it move along. You know, another thing that I realized a little bit ago when I was knowing that I was going to come out here and talk with you is that, you know, you're also raising a family. And, you know, raising a family while commercial guiding is a treat in itself. You know, I remember how my kids, you know, thought it was just common knowledge that every kid could go to a ski area and stay the night at the ski area and get out in the snowcats and drive around at night, you know, and the same things, taking them on commercial river trips. It's like my kids started going down the Lower Rogue when they were 5, and they've gone almost every year since then, and they're in their late 20s now,
Right.
you know, and they do it themselves now,
Yeah.
you know, but I know that you're starting to do trips with your family. I've seen some shots of the whole family going down on the Lower Rogue and stuff, so talk a little bit about that, because it's really kind of a special thing when you can actually start taking your family on some of these adventures that are the business.
Right. Yeah, no, I feel like we're super lucky, and I hope that my boys always enjoy it and love it, like, and don't end up feeling like it's work. So we try to treat it that way, but it's been a lot of fun. So Zane's 10 now, and he's been super helpful. Like he'll jump on trips with us and help pack outs and help unpacks. He's down there with the guides right now, practicing flipping rafts. We'll see him here shortly.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I mean, family river trips are our favorite thing to do. It's interesting, like when we talk about going on vacations, going on trips and stuff, all 4 of us say, let's go on the river. Like, almost every time we're like, we haven't been to Disneyland, we haven't done this, but you guys want to go on the river again? And that's what I like. You know, I don't want them to think that it's something they have to do. And Dean, he's 7, and he's definitely, you know, grown up. He's on his first downriver trip when he was 1 year old, you know,
Right,
running around in his onesie. So I think it's a lot of fun just spending family time. You know, put him behind the house, practically swim down the valley of the Rogue.
Right.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun way for them to grow up, and I just hope that they always. Like that's my fear is that it's gonna feel like. Work.
Yeah, you kind of wonder if it's at that one of those points where, like, I thought about that a little bit, but you know, it didn't seem to work out that way. Actually, one of the things that happened at one point, my kids were old enough, and they actually were like realizing how much work it was for mom and dad to actually take them and do these things, and they were like, "Wow, thanks for making us do that."
Yeah.
You know, where they're like, "Wow, like that really was a big part of their life." And, you know, I know your kids are at that younger age where they don't see that yet, but you're giving them that experience, which is great. And, of course, you know, I mean, a huge benefit of any outfitter child is the world-class bouncy house that they have access to. Because, I mean, my kids could come over to the warehouse at the end of the day, and that was like playground sesh. You know, and sometimes it's like, where are the kids? Oh, they're inside, bouncing around on the boats.
That's turned into the birthday thing. Like we had bouncy houses when they were like 1, 2 years old for their first birthdays. Now every year it is, we stack the rafts up, and their friends all know it's happening. They all show up ready for it. And it's fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, excellent. Now, I know that, you know, being on the river for so many years, there's definitely some things that come up. There's definitely some kind of events that come up. Give me just kind of one event that kind of sticks out in your head, in the last 20 years of, maybe could be entertaining, could be very scary, could be humorous, could be, oh my God, I don't even realize we survived that.
Right.
Might have something to do with the beginning on the Cal Salmon, but
right. Yeah.
But kind of give me some of your earliest memories and events that have happened on the river in your river lifetime.
I would say that that early Cal Salmon trip, that's what kind of locked me into wanting to do this. Just the excitement level of it, and the uncertainty of running whitewater. You can do your best and know where you're going, but you're not in control of it really. I think the one that sticks out in my mind, and I share it with as many guides or guides in training as I can, is so I've guided for 7, 8, 9, 10 plus years, and spent a lot of time on the Upper Klamath, the Cal Salmon, the Scott.
Right, absolutely.
And the Nugget Run, of course. I mean, we're a lot of times doing that twice a day.
Right.
So I did that for over 10 years, and it was 2013, coming down Powerhouse, little 4-pack. It was early in the season, so about 4,500 CFS, which can make it pretty exciting.
Oh yeah, juicy.
Got a little to the left, coming over the bottom drop, and I flipped, and I'd never once flipped at Powerhouse. I'd flipped at Nugget before, but I flipped at Powerhouse, and I was like, it was intense. It was a one-boat trip. We did a pretty good cleanup with the 4 guests that I had, but it was rowdy. So the very next day, I'm coming through again, and that was the first time in 10 years that I'd flipped hundreds of times going down Nugget. Very next trip, I was like, I ain't going left, so I got over to the right, coming over the bottom drop. Not even 12 hours later, wham, flipped the other way. 2 trips in a row, I flipped there, and I was like, whoa. I was like, maybe I can't do this anymore. Like, that's crazy. And I think that's when I got this PFD.
I need a little better flotation.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
I was wearing a little 16-pound flotation vest, swim green room twice in a row. I was like, oh. But that, I tell people that. I'm like, man, as soon as you think you got it figured out, or you think it's easy, or whatever, it'll get you twice in a row.
Well, yeah, and also, that's, I guess that's what they call getting a lot of it out of the way all at once, But I always tell people that are running a trip for the first time, and they're running with an outfit or somebody they don't know, and it's like, if a guy tells you they've never flipped, be leery. Because there's those that have and those that will.
Exactly.
And not those that never do.
Right.
It happens. And, also just that lower road canyon is so humbling in a drift boat. Like I really, I've run through the Mule Creek in a raft multiple times. And once you start running down there in a hard boat, it's a whole different deal. Yeah. And I remember being part of the first time I saw a bridge boat in there. And I was like, whoa, like this is crazy. And, and then you hear of guys that have been down there, 20, 30 years and then they end up bridging their boat and everything is gone. And it's like, a good buddy of mine always gave me probably the best piece of advice that I ever got was trust your lines and insure your boat. It's like, that's it. Everything else is fine. Just trust your lines and insure your boat.
Get insurance.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's just one of those things. Is the river is always changing, and it's always presenting, new obstacles.
Right.
Well, as we're getting close to wrapping this up a little bit, tell me a few things that you would tell, like 19, 20-year-old Ben. That would help them kind of navigate this space that you've been able to carve out a lifestyle for yourself, and I know it's a lot of hard work, as much as the customers only see the glorious stuff. They don't see the hard work and behind the scenes stuff, and every company needs a big support team as well. But what are some lessons you've kind of learned along the way that you would definitely change if you had to do it over?
Yeah, so I mean, ideally I would try to do it the same as far as, sticking to the idea and the plan that I had, kind of what I saw was possible. I would definitely, try to do it the same way, obviously maybe better. I think the most important thing would be is there's so many things that are out of your control, and just not letting it stress you out. Like, I think about all the things that, you lay in bed not sleeping,
right,
trying to figure out how the next day is going to go, or the next month,
it all
or
gonna
the
pencil?
season. Yeah, and it was like, man, really, that did me no good at all. Like, I could have relaxed, been happier with everybody. Yeah, I think probably just managing the stress of things that you really have no control over, like just accepting that it's going to go as good as it's going to go. And yeah, just enjoy the relationships. Like, I feel very lucky with all the people, that we've talked about already, that I had the opportunity to spend time with on the river, that were willing to share stuff with me. And like, I try to be that same way, and I hope that I'm doing it as like a happy and nice way that it was done with me. Like, I feel like a lot of times I'm sharing information with guides, but I'm maybe not being super nice about it. But I feel like I was really treated well, and people were willing to share a lot of information with me, and I try to do that same thing, because it's pretty impressive, some of these guys that have been around, Willie Joe, Don, Noah,
exactly,
some of those old timers, Irv, Terry O'Connor's, like all those guys that I got to spend a lot of time, especially when you're doing those multi-day fishing trips. You're doing a 4-day trip every 5th day, so you're basically spending 2 months straight with these same crew of guys.
Yep. You're sleeping in the guide shack more than you're sleeping in your own bed.
Yeah, listening to them snoring.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just a cool opportunity to be able to learn and experience time with those guys that did their whole lives. That's what they did, both for a job and for fun.
Right.
See how they did it and see how they made it work.
And really, that's one of those things that does cross over the whitewater and fishing guiding, where no matter what, in both of those situations, you're still a storyteller, stand-up comedian.
Right.
Like, you are still basically sharing that moment with those people. And like, yes, when you're on a fishing trip, yeah, people want to catch a lot of fish, but another thing that was always true that I found is that there are several good fishing guides, but great fishing guides are guides that can have a wonderful day when the fishing is terrible.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's like you said, control the things you have control over. No matter how much people may think, we don't control those fish.
Right.
And so, like, you can do all your best techniques, but sometimes, the fish just ain't biting.
Right.
And so you still got to just kind of make the day, right?
Fun,
You got to make the day. You got to keep it going. And that's the thing, is getting up and doing it day after day after day, and actually just making it fun and engaging, and absolutely just, an experience. People in this day and age, I think that's what they're coming for. Is they're coming to pay for the experience, right? Just to get that little piece of it.
Hang out here.
Exactly. I mean, we got a beautiful sunny morning right here on the Rogue River.
Yeah.
All right, rapid questions in the rapid. Ben, what is your favorite rapid of all time?
Coffee pot and a drift boat.
Coffee pot and drift boat. What's your favorite river of all time?
The Rogue River.
The Rogue River, of course. What is your most dangerous river trip of all time?
I would say probably high water, lower road drift boat trip.
High water and a drift boat, absolutely, absolutely. What's your favorite mountain range?
I like the Siskiyous.
Siskiyou Mountains, for sure. What's your favorite fishing hole?
I don't know if I can tell you.
You'd have to kill me.
Yeah. Probably either the Hobbit hole or the salmon hole behind my house.
All right. And what is the trip of a lifetime that's on your bucket list?
I'm looking forward to doing more multi-day trips with my family, so probably Salmon River trip in Idaho would be pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, like a middle fork or something? Yeah.
Try to do the whole thing,
Yeah.
Middle of the day,
Gotcha. And have you ever been on the Grand Canyon run in Colorado?
I have not, no.
All right, and then if you are to name this river in one word, what would it be?
Wild.
Wild.
Yeah.
That is it. The Rogue River in one word is wild. And that is rapid questioning in the rapid. Thank you very much, Ben. And that's a wrap. Well, excellent, Ben. Thank you very much for taking part in the podcast. And I think we covered a lot of ground. And before I let you go, kind of give folks just where they can find you, and if they do want to kind of look you up for some of the adventures you're offering, just so that everybody knows. And we will also put some links on this event as well. But tell them what's the best way to find you.
Yeah. So we've got roadraftingcompany.com is going to be the best spot to find all of our trip information, including fishing trips as well. We've also got fishinOregon.com. Great spot to find out about what's going on with the fishing lately, and also book a trip if you're interested. We also kind of doing a one-stop package now. We've got some lodging available for our trips as well.
Absolutely.
Right
nice.
on the Rogue River there in Gold
Nice.
Hill. Can accommodate up to 10 guests. Most of the people are showing up already to go rafting or fishing, but now they have local riverside lodging accommodations to stay at as well. And that can be found through our website, roadraftingcompany.com.
Absolutely. Yes, just another notch in the increasing the overhead, but also increasing the opportunities.
For sure, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's gone really well so far.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate it. Like I said, it's great to be out here on the water with you, and we appreciate everybody that joined in and checked out this podcast. If you did enjoy this podcast, please tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your river community. And when you do get out there on the river, remember, be calm, be patient, and we will see you on the river. You can check out everything to do with Sawyer at paddlesandoars.com. See you next time.